So I'm simultaneously fascinated and frightened by AI. It's it's going to allow for unlimited creativity. And as a creator, I'm excited to be able to create new things. As a fan, I'm excited to see others' creations. But where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line morally, ethically, legally? And there's a trend of YouTubers that are doing these what if songs. They're taking famous songs and applying AI to the vocals and in some cases doing something with the instrumentation to make the song in the style of a band that or an artist that did not do the song originally. So for example, and we're going to take a listen to this in just a bit, the Beatles performing Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, obviously the Beatles didn't do Bohemian Rhapsody, that was Queen. Well, now somebody has taken AI and produced a track of Bohemian Rhapsody that sounds like it's the Beatles doing the song. And the reason that I picked the Beatles, it's not just the Beatles, they're doing other artists, but the Beatles are probably the most prominent I've seen on YouTube. And there's not a lot of info on the processes or what AI applications that these YouTubers are using. I would like some more information on this stuff personally, just as a matter of transparency. And I'm just not sure what the legal, moral, and ethical implications of this are. So I want to take a listen to a few of these here. We're going to start off with this is the Bohemian Rhapsody. And this was posted by AI Love 0.1 pre alpha. That is the YouTube user. And we're going to play again about 10 seconds of this. And if we're unable to clear this, you may just go straight into me talking.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide.
Okay. It's not that good. To me, anyway. It sounds kind of like somebody impersonating Paul McCartney. The word caught in particular does not really sound like how Paul would say the word caught. And it also sounds very robotic. And I don't know what the soundtrack is. I don't know if it's original. If it is the original and they've processed it, done some stuff with it, that definitely could be argued as fair use because it's transformative. If they recorded a new track to this, then it would be considered a cover. But if this is a person who has sung a new vocal track over this, it would be a cover. But then they've taken that vocal track and they've turned it into Paul's voice. So that would be, I don't know what you could argue that is. It's a cover, but they're using the voice of somebody who hasn't given them permission to use their voice. And I just don't know what the implications of that are. Also, if this was a karaoke track or something, then there's a whole nother legal hubbub. And I don't know what they would be able to claim, if anything, if they're using a karaoke track that they don't have permission to use unless they've done something to make it transformative. Then they could argue fair use again. I just don't know. There's a lot of answered questions, but the bottom line is, for me, it's an interesting concept. I like the concept. I like hearing these what ifs. But execution, it does not sound like a great track, and it does not sound like a real organic Paul McCartney track. It sounds like robotic Paul, or it sounds like a robotic impersonation of Paul. So now we're going to check out another one. This is Creep. This is actually a quote-unquote John Lennon cover of Creep. Not the Beatles, but John Lennon. And this was posted by Dalius_AI using Lala LS. And he's overdubbed this vocal. It appears that somebody recorded a live vocal, ran it through the John Lennon AI available on this program, Lala LS, and then overdubbed it onto a strings cover of Radiohead's Creep, and it was performed by the Brooklyn duo. Okay. And I had to dig to get this information. It was not in the description. The La La LS part was. Then I had to dig on where the strings instrumentation came from. So let's take a listen to this.
When you ever thought can look you in the eye.
And I'm going to play actually 2 clips of this. Just break it up.
You're just like an angel. Your skin meets the crown.
Okay, so that wasn't bad. I was actually shocked and impressed at how good that sounded. To me, other people might listen to that and say, that doesn't sound anything like John Lennon. I don't know. To me, it was pretty close. Now, the mix was not good. The vocals were mixed too low on that, and the strings were way too hot. But as far as the AI John Lennon, sounded pretty good. It was close. And as close as it was, in 6 months, it might be perfect. And I know that sounds far-fetched, but just 6 months ago, this technology did not exist to this level. Like you could not emulate a voice this close with AI. So I really dug that. I particularly I'm glad I found this orchestral cover of Radiohead's Creep because it's really, really good and well done. And again, the John Lennon vocal is pretty good. The mix need to be better. His vocals need to come up. But again, legally, what do we do with this? Morally, what do we do with this? I don't know. So I'm going to listen to a couple of more here. These are a couple of Oasis tracks, which Oasis already sounds like the Beatles. They're constantly accused of ripping them off. Personally, I like Oasis because they sound like the Beatles. And yeah, they rip them off. Sure. I still like them because I like that type of music. But the first one's going to be Wonderwall, and this is going to be John Lennon, AI John Lennon, singing Wonderwall. And this was posted by Andrew Peterson, and I have no information on what he used to produce this. So here we go.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do.
All right, again, that was pretty good. I'm not sure. The mix is completely different here. You could hear the vocals more clearly on this one than you could on the Creep, and it's possible that's why it doesn't sound to me as close to John Lennon as the Creep version, but it's pretty close. And Liam already sounds like John, and he actually thinks he is John. If you haven't seen Sacha Baron Cohen telling the story about him at a party with Liam Gallagher, you need to go check that out. It's hilarious, but language warning. But anyway, yeah, wasn't bad. Again, I don't have any information on how this was done. I don't know whether Andrew Peterson here took Liam's vocals out of the original track, isolated them, ran them through a John processor, and put it back into the original track. Or he's got a karaoke track here and he recorded new vocals himself, or got somebody else to record them and they ran it through the John Lennon processor. I don't know. I just don't know. I do know that the track, at some point, there's some guitar later in the track. I've listened to the whole thing. There's some guitar later in the track that I know it's not from the original track. It's either a karaoke version or a new version made just for this, or an overdub on the original track. But I don't know. I would like some more information on this. And then finally, one more Oasis track here, and this is going to be Don't Look Back in Anger. And this is going to be George singing.
Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find better place to play.
Okay. Once again, I thought that was pretty good. I thought that sounded a lot like George Harrison. again, you could hear this little bit of something off there. And this was posted by Vintage Vibes AI, and they actually did put some information in there. This was a new soundtrack recorded by actual musicians with a real singer, and then running that vocal through some kind of George Harrison AI emulator. So this definitely is a cover. This would definitely fall under the legal definition of a cover. But once again, it's a cover with an emulation, an artificially emulated vocal take of a famous singer's voice. And that gets into, to me, some legally dubious territory. So I'm conflicted on this whole thing. I think that, oh, this is so cool, but it is also so dangerous. It opens up all kinds of dilemmas. So let me know in the comments. If you're listening to this on a platform, you can comment. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? What do you think legally? What should this be? Morally and ethically, what is this? What is this new AI thing coming up? What should we do with this? What safeguards need to be put in place? Or should we just be a free-for-all? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed that clip, be sure to check out the full episode on the Words Like That YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts.
Can't have no words like that.